what I do, the universe seems to hate me. I spent all those years trying to expose Zim and nobody cared, but now that I didn't want him exposed anymore, people finally started to notice stuff. It wasn't too much of a concern at first, just our stupid classmates pointing out that he looks exactly the same as he did when he first showed up to school, but before they could put much thought into it, they just resort to making dumb jokes about how short he is. The moment I knew there was a problem, though, was the night that the Swollen Eyeball contacted me. I hadn't been active on the Swollen Eyeball network for a long time, mainly because Zim stopped trying to destroy the Earth, so there was nothing to report. Being contacted out of the blue was definitely a red flag.
Agent Mothman, I know it's been a while, but I may have located your alien.
My heart skipped a beat as I processed what he said, part of me hoping Agent Darkbootie's distorted voice simply caused me to mishear him. Have you now? I asked, desperately trying to keep my cool.
Affirmative. I saw an unidentified flying vehicle crash into some trees last night. Unfortunately, I didn't have my camera, but I saw a little green man get out. When he took off again, I saw the ship land inside the roof of a strange-looking green house. I'm bringing a team over there tomorrow. Will you be joining us, Agent Mothman?
Nope. Well, you see, I'd love to, but I've already got plans tomorrow. Darn, such a shame. I am a horrible liar.
Surely we could arrange to go there another day. I know how important capturing this alien is to you.
No, it's fine. You can go without me. In fact, we should just forget about it. I mean, I've kind of outgrown my whole alien phase. I mean, come on, that's kid stuff. What we should really be worried about is ghosts, am I right? Agent Darkbootie went silent for a moment, though it felt like hours.
It's up to you whether you want to come or not, but I'm still going over there tomorrow to investigate. From what you've told me about him in the past, he could be a major threat to our world. We can't take any chances. We'll be in contact.
The second his shadowed outline disappeared from my screen, I got up and ran down the street to Zim's obvious alien base. Zim, open up! It's an emergency! I called, pounding on the door. Instead of Zim, I was met with Gur. Hi! He squealed, oblivious to how panicked I was. Gur, where's Zim? I asked. He waddled back into the house, ignoring me. Letting out a frustrated sigh, I followed him in. Please, Gur, this is important. You guys could be in danger. The robot continued to ignore me, opening the refrigerator and pulling a live chicken out. At that point, I turned to face the opposite direction. Whatever he was doing to it, I didn't want to know.
Zim isn't home right now. I can inform him of what the problem is when he gets back. So, what's up?
The disembodied voice of his base's computer asked. I explained everything to the computer. He was a surprisingly good listener. Unlike Zim, he didn't shout over me. Is it okay if I stay here until he gets home? I'm just really anxious right now. So I sat on the couch with Gur and waited. Some awful movie was on the TV, and Gur made waffles. I didn't eat much, though. They kind of tasted like soap. Finally, Zim came home. Dim human, what are you doing here? Even I have to admit it's a little creepy to go in someone else's house when they're not home. It's a Swollen Eyeball. An agent saw you without your disguise last night, and he knows where you live. Zim shrugged, looking unfazed. You've seen me without my disguise and know where I live, and all your attempts to expose me failed. I was just a kid then. These guys are more experienced. They're serious paranormal investigators, and unlike me, people will actually listen to them. My point is, we've got to come up with a plan fast, because they're coming here tomorrow. That doesn't leave much time, he stated, pacing the floor. Computer, prepare the base for relocation. We'll be staying on Earth's moon until further notice. Don't you think it'll be more suspicious if the house suddenly disappears? I asked. Nonsense. Computer, tell the foolish Earth boy why he's wrong, Zim ordered.
Actually, I agree with him. It would also be extremely difficult to return to Earth from the moon without appearing suspicious. The base should probably stay put.
I couldn't help but smirk. His fancy Irken computer was taking my side. Fine. Do either of you have any better ideas? To be honest, I didn't have a better idea. All I knew was that leaving Earth would be a bad idea. Plus, I really didn't want him to go, even if it would only be temporary. Thankfully, the computer had a pretty good suggestion.
What about that mind-erasing technology that you were working on to wipe Dib's brain?
I glared at Zim as he let out a nervous laugh. Well, I stopped working on that a long time ago, but I suppose I could resume research on it. Only for usage on the Swollen Eyeball, of course. And maybe Keith. So we headed down to the lab and began work on the mind eraser. Zim tested it on me, unsurprisingly, after I told him not to. Oh well, he only wiped a few seconds, to my knowledge, and it's not like I have any memory of it, so At least according to Zim, it works. Unless he was just messing with me. My head hurts. Anyway, we hooked up a bunch of mind erasing blasters outside the base, so when the agents show up, all we'd have to do is push a button, and they'd forget all about Zim. Alright, it seems the base is secure. Feel free to go home whenever you like. At that, I plopped myself down on Zim's couch. What are you doing? He asked. Spending the night. I don't know how early those agents are gonna come, and I want to be here to make sure the plan works. Not that I don't have faith in it, it's just, you know. In truth, I was severely paranoid. I couldn't help but feel at fault if anything were to happen to Zim at the hands of the swollen eyeball. I had so much evidence of his alien identity, and if the agent succeeded in capturing him, I would finally get the recognition I desired for so long. But the thought of that happening now only makes me sick. Alright, though I don't see much point in you staying overnight, since you'll just be asleep the whole time. Wait, you don't sleep? A mighty Irken needs no sleep! Our packs keep us energized. Besides, it sounds boring. Why would you want to lie around unconscious for hours on end if you don't have to? What a waste of time. I don't know. It's relaxing, and dreams are cool, I guess. Zim gave a confused head tilt. You'd think he'd be at least a little more familiar with Earth terminology. Dreams are basically movies that your brain creates while you're asleep. It's all based on stuff stored in your memories. Most people can't control what happens in them, though, so they can get pretty weird sometimes, but it's interesting, I explained. Fascinating. I may just have to try that now. I will now begin the sleeping! Before I could say anything else, he fell to the floor with a thud and immediately started snoring. With an amused chuckle, I repositioned myself on the couch and slowly drifted off. I don't remember too many of the details of my dream that night. Something about a lobster? No, what I really remember is the weird portal-like hole that opened up next to me. Congratulations, son! I've never once been proven wrong before, but I am truly proud of your accomplishment. Hearing my dad's voice, I abandoned the lobster to peek through the hole. I could see myself wearing a lab coat. Thanks, Dad. I won't let you down, the other me stated, an almost sinister tone in his voice. After Dad left the room, the other me walked up to a medical table. No, an autopsy table. And Zim was strapped to it. You made this almost too easy, Zim, the other me taunted. So pathetic, so desperate for attention that you let your guard down to me of all people. I never thought you'd go soft, but hey, it makes my job easier, right? Zim didn't struggle. He just looked at the other me, wide-eyed and terrified. You already took my pack. Just do it already, he cried, visibly shivering against the harsh, icy table. I want to savor every moment of this, Zim. We're waiting out the full 10 minutes. Though I could start by marking out the incision lines. Let's see. Where to start? The head? The body? How about the antennae? Unable to stand and watch any longer, I attempted to push through the hole, but an invisible barrier kept me out. No! Stop it! I screamed as the other me reached for Zim's antenna. He didn't hear me, though if he did, he likely wouldn't have cared. I woke up in a cold sweat just as his rubber-gloved hand tightly gripped the antenna, and on the floor where he fell asleep, Zim had also awoken with a panicked scream. After catching my breath, I turned to face him. Did you have the same dream that I just had? I took his immediate reaction of backing up against the nearest wall in terror at seeing me as a yes. That was your dream, wasn't it? It must have transmitted to my brain somehow. I guess that's an Irken thing? I got up to approach him, and he continued to wordlessly shudder. I'd never seen him so vulnerable before, and I was overcome with a sense of guilt. You don't actually think I'd do that, do you? I asked, kneeling down to his level. Why wouldn't you? I deserve it. And it's what you've always wanted. He replied, speaking in an unrecognizably soft tone. I was about to reach out and hug him, but his sudden flinch signaled that this was not the time, and I backed off. Zim, I don't want that anymore. I don't need to prove anything to anyone. As long as you're not a threat to Earth anymore, I have no reason to kill you. And even if you did start up your evil plans again, I don't think I'd have it in me to end you, because I feel like you're the only one who really gets me. He finally looked like he was starting to calm down. Look, if you need some space, I can go home. Just keep an eye out for the swollen eyeball and push the button when they get here tomorrow. With that, I got up and headed for the front door. Wait. I'm sorry. I do trust you, it's just not a feeling I'm used to. Zim didn't go back to sleep that night. We both stayed up on the couch and watched Floopsy Bloopsy Schmoopsy until I eventually dozed off again. At some point later that night, I woke up to find Zim curled up against my chest. At first I thought he was asleep, but he had simply been lying there with his eyes closed, and he opened them as soon as he realized I was awake. Neither of us said a word. He simply glared at me in a way that implied he'd do something horrible to me if I ever told anyone about this display of affection. I just smiled back as if to say, don't worry about it. I definitely teased him about it later on, though.